Hi, it's Denisa again, and we're doing another episode of Over the Hill and Into the Wild. I have my guest Rebeccah, who is a seasoned hiker, avid naturalist, and retired
park ranger.
Yes. How awesome is that? So why don't you come along with us today, and we'll go for a quick hike and just do a little chit-chatting. Awesome.
Sounds great.
Oh, look, so many of these wonderful facilities have facilities. So you don't have to worry about doing what a bear does in the woods. So you can tell us a little bit about the trail we're going to hike today, maybe?
Yes, this is the Sensory Explorers Trail at Sky Meadows State Park, and it's where this is an easy trail, about a quarter mile for folks who have young children or have sight impairment or have other disabilities. If they want to just get out in the woods, there's lots of benches, there's waysides, there's educational information. It's just a nice short walk for those who maybe don't want to tackle the Appalachian Trail or tackle another mountain, but just want to get out and enjoy themselves. And we have a vernal pool, which we'll see later on. And it's just
vernal meaning springtime.
Springtime, yeah, excuse me. And so it's just a nice trail to get out, stretch your legs, and enjoy the beautiful nature around us.
Well, wonderful. So you were a career park ranger?
Correct.
And what got you into the great outdoors to begin with?
Well, I grew up in the country in North Carolina, and it was just, we grew up camping and hiking and going to state and national parks for our family vacations, and also historic sites. My dad and I loved history, so to visit these places was just part of my growing up. And of course, at these sites, you always saw someone in the Smokey Bear hat. And eventually, around the age of 10 or 12, I thought, I want to do that.
Wow!
And so I majored in park management, natural resources management, and I did an internship at Cape Lookout National Seashore off the coast of North Carolina, and just fell in love with the National Park Service, and
there
never
you go.
went back.
Wow!
And so I was fortunate enough. I worked several seasons around the country, and then eventually got a permanent job, actually in Seattle, Washington, of all places.
Oh, I love Seattle. The Great Northwest.
It was, I had not, other than where I went to college in Raleigh, North Carolina, I had never really lived in a big city, and but I was young and single, and it was a great experience. And
I'm sure.
Spent a few years out there, and then eventually moved back to North Carolina as a permanent park ranger at Cape Lookout National Seashore, and where I had started, so it's like coming home. But at that time, to continue in the Park Service, if you wanted to move up in your career, you had to move around.
Yes.
And personally, that appealed to me.
Yeah.
And I like seeing different parts of the country. So I spent 38 years and retired from Harpers Ferry National Historical Park in 2016.
Wow.
So, loved it.
Well, you know, I was a mounted ranger with the U.S. Forest Service for a couple of years, and it was my job to ride around 267,000 acres of wilderness up in the Rockies in New Mexico.
Excellent.
And try not to get shot by the poachers.
Well, there was that.
And you know, the thing that everybody would always say is, and they paid you to do that? And my answer was yes. And it's to this day floored me that I could get paid to do something so fulfilling and so just in line with my yearning for the outdoors and for nature. And I was very disappointed when I had to go ahead and move on, but that was more of a bureaucratic thing.
Right.
They had a new,
That.
well, they had a new district ranger, a district chief that came out from DC who decided that I needed to be law enforcement trained, and my boss and I knew full well that if I was carrying a badge and a gun, I would be dead within 3 weeks. And the new boss wouldn't be moved, so that was the end of that.
That's a shame.
So anyway,
Yeah, my first job was not quite that dramatic, but it was tagging sea turtles at Cape Lookout National Seashore.
How cool!
And I always said if I could have gotten paid what I got paid on that job, and I could have continued doing that forever, because I really enjoyed the seashore.
Now I'm amazed to see. I'm going to turn this camera around
sure.
again, because there is moss in the middle of the trail, and what surprises me is that this moss is so apparently very resilient to the very harsh and persistent tromping it must be getting on this trail. Can you tell me?
I don't know the kind it is for sure. A moss lichen expert by any stretch, but I will say I am surprised, but I'm wondering if the snow that kind of insulated this area
could have triggered.
could have maybe triggered a
spring
out, here, because it definitely looks, like you said, it looks fresh. I'm sure when the summer and spring and summer, when it gets more use, it'll get trampled down. But yeah, no, it looks new. So,
Well,
it's very pretty.
I've always been very sensitive to the live crusts that grow on unstable soil surfaces, especially that are mostly gravel, because that's where, you know, the soil progression begins. And so when I'm hiking, I always admonish people that they need to not walk on lichen and moss as best they can, because that's part of what stabilizes the forest floor, and it's also a huge absorbent for runoff.
It absolutely, definitely curtails erosion. After I retired from the National Park Service, my husband and I hiked the Appalachian Trail. So I turned 60. I had spent my 60th, celebrated my 60th birthday on the Appalachian Trail.
How wonderful.
So that was fantastic. And I didn't do it all in 1 year. I had started out doing it, trying to do a through hike. But wasn't fast enough. I never got up to that 25 miles a day that you kind of need to do for you know, to make it in the 6 months.
Wow.
But we had a wonderful time, and we did it over 2 summers, and I was 17 and 18.
Wow.
And once I let go of that false, I've got to do it in a year, I really enjoyed it, and
That's fun.
and the whole thing was just to be out in nature, and it was a great experience for my husband and I, and you just meet so many wonderful people on the Appalachian Trail. There's just a real community, and talking about and just all ages and all backgrounds, and it's truly, the trail is a true equalizer. You're all in the same boat or on the same trail, and it's just you have a community of folks that are just, it's a wonderful experience.
Excellent.
And so that was a lot of fun. So.
Join us next time and we'll hear more from Rebeccah about hiking the Appalachian Trail. Thanks.